Hi, Mike from Greenway. Today I wanted to go over a few different things that new EV owners do by accident and make a few mistakes on, and these are all mistakes I've made myself for sure. And so let's get into it. So the very first thing that I've done several times before, after I got my EV, is accidentally speeding, exceeding the speed limit. And it's super easy to do. The electric vehicle is so quiet, so quick, and sometimes when you're not completely paying attention to the speedometer, you're going to be going over the speed limit. And often it happens, or sometimes it'll happen when I'm just accelerating from a traffic light and trying to keep up with traffic, and then I realize, why is everyone going so slow? When I check my speedometer and I go, whoops, I'm going a bit too fast, so I better slow it down. And yeah, so you don't want that to happen. You don't want to get speeding tickets by accident, because this could happen.
I'm sorry, officer. I didn't realize I was speeding. I just got this new EV. I didn't realize how fast it is. Could you let me off with a warning?
Fortunately, I haven't been pulled over by the police yet, because I've realized in time that I was speeding, but instead of everyone going too slow, I was going too fast. So you just got to watch out for that one. It really is easy to speed in an EV. There's no motor noise that's alarming you that you're going too fast. You're not hearing the transmission shift, and it's something to watch out for, something you can easily avoid. And I'll try to use, once I get up to speed, of course, I'll try to use cruise control as much as possible, because even trying to keep a constant speed, it's a bit hard, and you'll realize that it's hard to keep a constant speed. So using cruise control does help prevent speeding tickets. And that's the first thing I found that I've done a few times after I got my EV. All right, the second mistake I've made, and I made it a few times as well, is getting home and forgetting to plug my car in. And usually I plug it in first thing when I get home. I let it charge overnight. But what happens is, in the morning I go to jump in my car and I realize, oops, I didn't charge it overnight. Now, the good thing is it has enough range for me to be able to do my driving on the second day without a full recharge, but I suppose you could be in a situation where you had intended to fully charge it, and then you get into your car in the morning and you realize, uh-oh, I don't have enough charge to make it through my day. And so that's, a bummer. So yeah, you don't want that to happen. It's one of those things that I find that I just get into the habit of, when I get home, I just plug it in, and then that will develop that habit of plugging it in. It only takes a few seconds. Just grab the charging cable, pop the door open, and charge it. So once you get into the habit, you won't forget. But there's a chance that if you don't, you might run out of juice for your trip that day, and that wouldn't be too much fun. Now, on the other side of that thing, I'll say something else that maybe new EV owners do sometimes is overcharging. What I mean by that is, I drive pretty far. I drive a lot of miles every day, and so I basically charge my car every night. But if you're in a situation where you only drive 5 or 10 miles a day, and you get back home and your battery is still at 98% charge, you don't have to charge it. I would say leave it a few days and let that battery rest. If you keep it fully charged all the time at the maximum, I've read that it's not good for the battery, although in practice I haven't seen that cause any issues. But still, as a new EV owner, you might be eager to see how fast it charges and charge your car every day. But the reality is, if you know you've got plenty of charge for tomorrow and the next day, I would leave it for a few days, maybe charge it every third day or every fourth day. But if you're not sure if you're going to be going a long drive the next day, just plug it in. It's not going to cause any harm to the car. And the engineers, when they designed it, they know that owners will, generally the average person will not be thinking about battery health. Generally, people will charge it up. So in that case, if you do leave it charged up, the engineers that set the charge level on the battery, even though on your screen it says 100%, on your car's screen it's like 100% charge, the reality is they haven't allowed the batteries to overcharge, and so there's a safe level there that will allow it to charge up safely and leave it at that charge. but you don't need to recharge it every day if you have a longer range vehicle and you're not doing very long trips. So the next item I want to talk about is just related to that, just related to battery charging. So I think a lot of folks, before they buy an EV, they do a lot of reading, a lot of research, a lot of information gathering, and you may have heard of the 80% rule. So they say just charge your battery up to 80% and keep it above 20 and between 20 and 80. And while I can't say that's wrong, I think that is fine to do. Some cars don't have the ability to allow you to set the maximum charge to 80%. Some of them do, like a Tesla, for example. You can tell it to charge to 80% and you plug it in and just go up to 80% and that's all it will do. With other cars, there's no option to set the charge limit. So you'll plug it in and then you'll have to start doing some manual calculations. So I'm at 60% and I know that I can get 20% more in 2 hours, or whatever your calculation is for your battery size to your vehicle and your charging speed. And so you might set a timer for yourself. So you get home from work, you plug it in. Okay, I only want to get to 80. So then I got home at 6. So I need to go at 9:30 out to the car and unplug it to make sure it only goes to 80%. And or you set a timer on the car or on your charger so that it only charges to a certain percentage. But of course, every day you're driving a little bit of a different distance. So you got to change the timer every day. And that gets to be arduous and tiring and a lot of work to manage that. So if you have the time and interest, go for it. But I think for a lot of us, we're busy and you don't want to use all that time to spend managing the battery. And the reality is the car will manage the battery for you. So if you're not sure to plug it in or not, just plug it in and just drive the car, and don't worry too much about the battery condition, because the engineers, when they design those batteries, they know that the average consumer is likely not watching YouTube videos on how to charge their car properly. Honestly, I think most people will just buy the car and drive it and charge it, and they've designed it so that it's not overcharging. It's safely going up to the proper level. Even though your screen says 100%, it's got a little bit of a buffer at the top there to keep the battery from degrading because it's being overcharged. One of the last things I wanted to just go over quickly is for that new EV owners may do is not understanding the distance they can go on their battery, on their charge. And different situations will cause different distances that you can drive. So for example, in the summer, when it's a nice 70-degree, 21 Celsius day, and there's not too much wind, you're really gonna get excellent range that day, and you'll get a lot of miles and kilometers out of your battery. But if any of the factors, if you're driving high speed, freeway speeds, really fast, keeping up with fast traffic, or it's a really, really cold day or a really, really hot day, that's going to affect your range. And so you'll get to know your car after, after driving it for weeks and weeks and months. But I think a mistake that new owners sometimes use is looking at that display on the screen on the car. A lot of cars will have an estimate of the range, and it truly is just that, an estimate. The car is trying to take a guess at how far it's going to allow you to go. That's why some people call that gauge the guessometer, because you can really game it. You can drive conservatively and cautiously and slowly, and that number will go up. You can drive aggressively, quickly, like a race car driver, that number will go down. Or you drive on a highway, it'll go down. You drive in the city, it'll go up. If you're driving cold, it'll go down. All those different factors. So those are all things that are important to take into consideration when you get your new vehicle. So if you have a vehicle and the documented range is X number of miles or kilometers, that's true in good conditions, but you need to adjust for it in poor conditions. Now, with so many EVs now having such long range, the daily driving needs of most people don't exceed the range of the vehicle. So you can just plug in at night and not worry about it. But it's good to just be aware of, the usage of your battery, so that if you do have to take some longer trips, you could know that depending on the situation, the speed and the conditions and the temperature, that will affect the overall distance that you're driving with your vehicle. So these are some of the things that I've done with my electric vehicles. I've been driving them since 2013, and I think I've made all the mistakes I possibly can. This is just a list of a few. I'm sure I've made plenty more, But I'd like to hear from you. Do you have an EVs or any kind of newbie mistakes you made? Maybe leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear about them. Maybe I made those same mistakes too. Let's share and see what we can come up with. Thanks for watching the video. If you found it informative or helpful in any way, I appreciate you giving me a thumbs up and consider subscribing for future videos. Thanks very much. Have a great day.